What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, we get to talk about some new Alan Wake 2 gameplay. It's always a blast talking about anything Alan Wake, and seemingly because of this IGN first thing that's going on this month, we are going to get, at the very least, more info on the game. So this should be a really big month for the game. Before next month, reviews go out and the game comes out. Very, very exciting times. So what I want to do is not dissect every second of the 11, 12 minutes that we saw today from IGN. You can watch it. I'll be playing it, in the background here as I'm talking. I want to focus on three things that really stood out to me in this footage that we saw. I'll give an honorable mention, actually, to difficulty, because I don't know who was playing it. It could have been the actual just user. We have seen many clips, whether it be from IGN or other outlets, whether I guess it's from them or people that work at the company. Normally, it's like the IGNs of the world. It seemed like it was pretty hard. I want to give it to the difficulty, not necessarily like the player experience, because they were getting hit quite a bit, especially early on. There was a lot of seemingly confusion going on when facing the enemies. But again, I want to actually put that more in the difficulty category. This game might be a little hard, and that's totally fine by me. But okay, honorable mentions aside, let's go to actually the main thing that stood out was Resident Evil vibes. Now, they've said this. This is not new. I actually think I made a video covering this when they said it. Resident Evil is a big inspiration for them going into Alan Wake 2. Now, you can say that, and when they did say it, we can kind of read into it and say, well, what do they mean by that, right? Like the camera angle, clearly how the camera kind of hangs behind you, that's very Resident Evil-like, and I think they actually admitted that that is part of it. But what we saw here was more of the inventory and the swapping of weapons when you have the D-pad left, right, up, down, and you also just have the inventory menu with the little blocks and all of the different, whether it's health, whether it's guns, all of that being there. Now, it's in the top right, so it's a little bit different, I guess, how you pull it up and how you select from it, but it's very, very much Resident Evil. That's not a bad thing, by the way. I'm just throwing it out there. If you didn't know, this game might remind you actually quite a bit of Resident Evil, which is not a bad thing. Honestly, recently, how well they've sold, how well they've done, how well people have liked them, whether it's the remakes, whether it's the new ones of Village or 7, that's not a bad franchise at all to steal from. So we knew that Alan Wake was going to do that. Now we actually got to kind of see it in action. Number two is the destructible environments. Now, this was only happening one time that at least I saw. There was another part that's actually the third thing I want to talk about, destructibility maybe in general, but you see it actually at the amusement part, right? So like the teacup kind of ride and being able to shoot and break that part off. I don't think we've seen that yet. I don't even think they've talked about that yet, to be honest, from everything that I remember Sam Lake talking about or anything. I don't remember destructible environments being part of it, but that's very cool. So hopefully that gets used more often, because we have seen at this point now pretty okay amount of gameplay, and I think we've seen things like react, like whether it's things on desks that kind of get shot and kind of fling up, but now you can actually, if the enemy's hiding, which that happened a few times. There was actually an enemy later on in the gameplay when she was shining the flashlight at it, it was hiding behind a tree. Now, I don't know if that was like a glitch and the enemy kind of just organically got there, or if that was planned, like they're going to hide away from the light and from you, and there's a tree there, so they're literally going to stand behind the tree so that you can't flashlight, shine them in the eyes. I hope that's actually what happened, the second thing I just said. So that's really, really cool if they're going to kind of react to the environment in that way. But that was really cool to see. And the third thing is destructibility, I guess, but more like for the enemies. So this is something they showed about halfway in, and then it was a theme. It kept being shown as the gameplay went on. When you shoot the enemies, well, number one, they may take a lot of bullets. Even if you're shooting them in the head, you may have to unload quite a few rounds into them. But if you're shooting them in the body, there was the one example of the guy that she shot him like 7, 8 times, and the skin, the organs like blood and red started to be shown. So she shot the clothes off the guy, she shot the skin off the guy, and then you kind of started to see his insides. And I thought that was really, really cool. At the time, the first time you see it in the gameplay, it's like, oh, that's new. They haven't shown that, again, in any of the past stuff we've seen with Alan or with Saga. And then as this gameplay went on, even at the end of this gameplay, we saw it a few more times. And I thought that was really, really cool. So obviously, big theme of this one was, I think, more of the gameplay, showing the inventory just a little bit, showing the combat. Again, maybe maybe highlighting the difficulty. Obviously, a little bit of investigation work. If I had to give another honorable mention, there was that investigation of, okay, well, you need a screwdriver, and being able to go into the kind of investigation room, let's say, and walk through, put the pictures down, connect them, with the red tape and all that stuff, and then kind of go back into the world. We knew that was going to happen. We know that's a big part of the game, and we've seen it a few times. But to see it, again, kind of live, right? You're talking to people, then you go into it, you kind of talk to yourself, you come back out, you make a decision. That was pretty cool to see as well. So, again, I don't know how much more gameplay we'll get. Normally, when these IGN first things happen, you'll get a few gameplay segments, but not too much, and then it'll mostly be information. So I would not be surprised if there's like a huge interview with like Sam Lake, let's say, as this month goes on. I don't think it's all going to be gameplay, but I think we might see a little bit more as this month goes. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed. I'll be covering it whenever we see anything new Alan Wake-wise. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you all on the next one.